everybody, it's Nikki here from Grassroots, California. I'm here with Erik Stolhanske.
Woohoo!
How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. So, I want to talk
Hi,
to you.
Barbara.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Yes. Welcome as
Barbara
well.
and I are hanging out. Yeah, we're quarantined, just spend a lot of time together.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they got to stay at home, and everybody's kind of hanging out, doing their thing. So, Erik's in Super Troopers, as you guys may know. He's part of Broken Lizard's comedy group and has done a number of movies that I'm sure a lot of us stoners out here have seen. And so we're really excited to have you on our stream today and answer some of our biggest questions.
Hey, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in. So I want to kick things off. I know you guys, I said you guys are Broken Lizard. You're from a comedy group, and you guys met in college. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So can you just tell me a little bit about Broken Lizard comedy and how you guys all started and how that all came to be?
Sure. For those of you who don't know, like Super Troopers Beerfest is all made by a sketch comedy group, and the title of our sketch comedy group is Broken Lizard. So the best way I can describe it is like, I always hate to make this comparison because the bar's so high, but we're sort of like a modern day Monty Python, like an American modern day version of Monty Python in the sense that it's five guys and we write, direct, and edit movies together. So we do every aspect of it. And we started in college back at Colgate University. Some of us dabbled in theater a little bit, and there's a guy that was leaving, and he wasn't going to be there to run the student theater department, and he asked Jay if he wanted to direct a one-act play. And Jay said, I don't know if I want to direct a one-act play, but I'd be interested in trying to put together a sketch comedy group for the semester. Not really thinking it would go beyond that, but it was just going to be for that semester. And so Jay, who's from Chicago, with the comedy background with Second City and I.O. and all that exciting comedy stuff that came out of there, he said, yeah, I like try to put a comedy group together. So he formed, back in school, the name was called Charred Goosebeak. And it was a sketch comedy group, like Saturday Night Live, a sketch comedy group. And there's a bunch of people in the group back then. Even the first incarnation of it, Paul Soder and I were not in it because we were a year behind Jay, and it was junior year, so sometimes people go away for a semester junior year, so we actually went on campus that semester. But we heard about it, saw the videos, I was roommates with Jay, so I knew everything that was going on, and saw the videos, saw the taping of the show that they had done. I said, that was awesome. And so then Jay said, well, you should audition for it next semester. So then Soder and I joined the next year. And in college, it was like 11 or 13 people. It was a big group. But then we moved to New York City afterwards, and we whittled it down to a smaller group, and then it became Broken Lizard after college.
Okay, right on.
We did comedy in New York for like 5 years before we started making movies.
Okay, right on. So what was your college experience like at Colgate, and have you incorporated any of those memories into the films?
I don't know if there's much like specific stuff. A lot of dialogue, names, like for example, Spurberry in Super Troopers.
Yes.
We have a friend named Jimmy Sperber. Jim Sperber.
Oh, okay.
Like a pal of ours. So little things like that make it into the movie.
Yeah.
It's sort of like these funny homages to Friends. In college, Jay and I used to have sort of a mano-a-mano macho competition that we'd have with each other. Like we'd see who could stick their arm in a bucket of ice and leave in there longest until you couldn't feel your arm anymore.
The ice bucket challenge? Okay.
Ice bucket challenge. So that kind of led to the syrup, that idea, that dynamic that we had as friends that would do these challenges to each other led to like the Rabbit Thorny dynamic, and that led to the syrup chugging competition. So little things like that are little nuggets that kind of led to jokes.
Sure. And now I know that that's coming up. That's a big question we have from our viewers. I watched a recent interview, but can you tell people a little bit about that syrup challenge and how that went, and was it really syrup?
Yeah. I would say the question I get asked the most was, did you really chug maple syrup during the making of Super Troopers? And the story is, you want to hear the story of it?
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. So the story is, so we're shooting a scene, we show up, and like any responsible prop master, the prop master had put unsweetened iced tea into the maple syrup bottles. So we show up, Jay and I sit across from each other, and we do our first take. And Jay said, well, let me just go run behind the monitor and see what that looks like. And he came back, and he's kind of like back behind the monitor for a while, and I'm looking over and I can't figure out why it's taking so long. And he's like kind of staring. He comes back and he said, "Stolhanske, I think we got a problem." He's like, "I'm looking at it and it just doesn't look thick enough. It doesn't look like it has that glug, 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 the bubbles that slowly rise to the top, and people are going to call us out on it for not really chugging maple syrup. They're going to say, I can totally tell it's not maple syrup." So he's like, he's like, "You're from Minnesota, I'm from Chicago." He's like, "Stop being a pussy, just grab the real thing, let's go."
Let's go.
All right.
Oh my God.
So I didn't really think about it, but we just pick up the bottles of the thick, dark stuff, and we start just chugging it, glug, 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 take after take. And by the end of it, after you got a wide shot, over shoulder shot, 3/4 shot, close-up shot, Jay had done about 2.5 full bottles of real maple syrup.
Oh my God.
And I still wasn't finished. I still had to finish my close-up. So that one scene in the movie where I'm like, wow, that was almost 3 full bottles by the time we finished of real maple syrup.
Oh my goodness.
And then after that, everyone broke for lunch, and Jay and I ended up going back to his trailer, turning off the lights and shivering in the dark like an hour.
Oh my God, that's insane. Oh, did you
the jokes, guys? It's all for you guys, for the jokes.
Well, it looked great. You guys killed it, and we appreciate you doing that. So that turned out really well. Thanks for doing that. Now I know Super Troopers is probably one of your most well-known films, but you guys also did, as a comedy troupe, you did Club Dread, The Slammin' Salmon, and Puddle Cruiser. Do you have a favorite film that you watch, or is there a favorite one that you have just in general?
To watch, I think Club Dread was one of the most fun to make.
Okay.
We had made Super Troopers, and it was summer, and it was on the side of a highway, and there's no bathroom and no catering. It's really low budget, so we thought the next film, well, we control the power of the pen. We should write a movie where we're on a tropical beach. And so we wrote sort of like 10 Little Indians meet Sandals. And that's what's sort of the premise of Dread. But the beauty is we got to go down to Mexico and live in Mexico and shoot in Mexico and be down there for like 12 weeks or something.
Oh, so wow.
That's the most fun to make.
That's fun.
And everyone has its own little flavor. Like Puddle Cruiser was our first movie, and you're excited to be on the set for the first time, trying to figure out where to put a camera, how to create a scene, how to tell a joke. So everyone has like a fun memory.
Totally. Very cool.
You kind of remember every movie from like an actor that you like. Like, when you get into movies, it's really fun to cast these actors who we were fans of. Like growing up, we loved Bill Paxton as Chet from Weird Science. And all of a sudden you're on a set and you're acting with Bill Paxton all of a sudden. Or Brian Cox or Linda Carter. We love Wonder Woman growing up, so then to cast Linda Carter and then to get to act with her in Super Troopers. So those are always like really fun memories on set that you take away.
Did you write parts for some of these actors, or did you kind of have it in mind that you wanted to be using these characters, or how did that casting process work?
Sometimes. I mean, oftentimes you write the part and then you do the casting afterwards, and you kind of make a wish list of somebody that you would like to work with. And then you hopefully are able to get someone on that wish list.
Sure.
Brian Cox was an interesting one because his agent actually approached us. We were very new, nobody knew who we were, so it was not easy to get somebody to agree to be an indie comedy. But we got an incoming call from an agent saying that, would you guys ever consider Brian Cox? And we were like, Hannibal Lecter? It's not somebody that you thought about for a comedy film. You thought like
Sure.
Bill Murray or somebody. And then we had seen Brian in Rushmore, obviously Manhunter, Braveheart, and he had played these really, really heavy, serious roles. And we're like, well, he's an unbelievably great actor. I mean, he has so much more heft than we do. And it turns out that he had loved Jerry Lewis growing up, and he always wanted to do comedy, but oftentimes dramatic actors don't get offered comedic roles. And so the reason that he pursued us was like he wanted to have an opportunity to do comedy that he never gets offered in Hollywood. So to do it in independent films is an opportunity for him. And what a great casting stroke of luck that we got with Brian, because he turned out to be incredibly funny. Like, he's obviously very great as a dramatic actor, but he's also very funny that people just didn't know about.
That's cool. It's fun to see some serious actors take on more comedic roles, for sure.
Absolutely. see Adam Sandler take on dramatic roles is also equally fun.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely. How did you guys, I know raising money to produce some of these films was, you had some creative ideas here. So what are some ways that you would suggest startups or young creatives use to fund their own projects?
Yeah, it's a tricky question. I mean, the nice thing is you can shoot less expensively these days with advance of technology. You know, even iPhones. There's some really great things that are shot out there with the iPhone, which is amazing. We came up in the world of shooting on film, so it's a little more expensive. But our first film, I'd say most people, in the industry kind of agree that the first movie is sort of raised on credit cards or money you've saved up, or you hit up your aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
So mostly in our first film, we put together this little brochure where we offered people. We tried to get $5,000 from a bunch of different people. We'd ask aunts and uncles or grandmothers or anybody that would kind of help chip in for our very first movie called Puddle Cruiser. And then we had a stroke of luck because Jay Giant Jambalingam Chandrasekhar, who played Thorny in Super Troopers, is Indian. And credit card companies apparently think that all Indians are doctors. And so they thought Giant Jambalingam Chandrasekhar was a doctor, and they gave him this credit card with a large credit limit.
Oh, wow.
So we maxed out a lot of that.
Very cool.
And so we made our first film just by scraping money together, about $100,000, and we shot our first feature Puddle Cruiser on that. So first films are tough. You kind of have to do it yourself, and what we always tell people when they ask for advice is no one's going to do it for you. So you kind of just got to take the bull by the horns and just try to raise what you can and then go shoot what you can.
I think that's good advice. So I noticed you were very physically fit, and you still are. So, and I saw that not many people know this, but you were actually in the original P90X workout series.
Yeah.
So what has your role in sports and athletics been, and how do you stay active now?
One of the funniest things that happened to me is I have a pal. He was actually originally in the comedy group, and then he went on to become a very well-known writer. But he thought that I auditioned and did the P90X thing as like an acting role.
Yeah.
Which is not true.
Okay.
I was always athletic growing up, and I was like playing baseball. I was a baseball player going sort of up until college. And then I was trying to stay in shape as in Super Troopers because a cop, is kind of in shape. And then when we were going to go down and shoot in Mexico, I wanted to try to stay in shape when we were going to go shoot Club Dread, because I imagine that a character that's working down there is probably going to be in shape. So I thought it'd be good to stay in shape. I'd gone to the gym and I saw this flyer that said, come try this thing, the hardest thing you'll try in your life. It's physically, emotionally, mentally going to be super challenging, but if you commit, I promise you'll get results. And it was this test group for this thing called P90X.
Yes.
And it was like basically a free training program but you had to commit for 90 days.
Right.
We were working on the script for Club Dread, and so I thought, well, this could be good. I'll commit to this thing, this test group. I'll get a free workout in.
Oh, my goodness.
And then I'll be in shape when the movie starts.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's cool. That's really fun.
I did the test group, and after like 60 days, I decided that I was going to, first 60 days I wore sweatpants, and then one day I showed up in shorts, and this guy, Tony Horton, who's the main trainer, he said, what's wrong with your leg? And I was like, I have a prosthetic. I have an artificial leg. He's like, are you kidding me? What? You just did this for 60 days? I had no idea.
Really? Oh, wow.
So I started kind of gaining confidence about it. And he's like, that's really cool. You should, would you be interested in being in one of the videos? That way it would help motivate people to get off the couch and try to exercise in case they're struggling with diabetes or anything, kind of a condition. They'll say, wow, if this guy with one leg is doing it, maybe I should try to do it as well. And at first I was like, nah, I'm not interested in being in the video. I just was trying to get a free workout. And he's like, come on. He's like, this really could help people. And my whole life I've kind of avoided telling anybody. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, there's slight insecurity to it. I didn't want to be seen as handicapped, but also I was really nervous that I would be typecast in Hollywood as being somebody that had a prosthetic, that I would only be able to play like a vet coming back or somebody that lost their leg in an explosion or something, that I would not be able to be cast as like just a normal able-bodied comedian.
Sure.
Sometimes Hollywood can be a little shallow.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to make a bunch of films before I ever said, hey, I don't know if you guys know it's not, but I did all these movies with a prosthetic. And I'd only done at that point Puddle Cruiser, Super Troopers, and was about to shoot Club Dread. But I didn't quite feel as my trajectory yet that I was going to be open about it. But when he was like, this really could be something, instead of like being embarrassed about it as a kid, this could be something you could say that you help people. It was, you have your prosthetic for a positive reason.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, that's a really great way to look at it. That's cool. And so I decided to be in the video, and hopefully that having a prosthetic could help be seen as a positive and maybe something I had been embarrassed about before that.
Definitely. Well, it is definitely inspirational, and anybody at home right now who needs a workout, P90X, great way to stay fit right now.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It's the real deal.
So we are all cooped up right now. I see you got your beer. I've got my coffee. What are you guys doing at home to stay busy during COVID and lockdown?
Oh, man. Barbara and I hang out. We sing songs. We like to watch some series. We started watching the Michael Jordan documentary last night. We're watching Ozark. Cool. Like to listen to music. Any
recommendations for music?
We were listening to Bill Withers the other night. We've been a little nostalgic for some older stuff. So we're from Minneapolis, and one of our favorite bands is The Replacements.
Okay.
They're sort of the band that started the 80s grunge. They sort of influenced Nirvana and Pearl Jam. But
wow.
They're not punk, but they're pop punk. I don't know what you call it. I hate that title, pop punk. But, when you hear them, you'd see, okay, I can see how they inspired Nirvana and The Replacements, that whole Seattle sound.
Okay, right on.
And a movie, Singles, Cameron Crowe, Paul Westerberg, who's the lead singer of The Replacements, he did the soundtrack for Singles. And one of his records is, The Replacements records featured in it. So Cameron Crowe is obviously giving a nod to the 80s. Minneapolis had a really great music sound in the 80s that sort of influenced Seattle. So we were having a little nostalgic run down that with The Replacements, who's produced Soul Asylum. And then the other day we listened to Bill Withers, with soul, some funk, a little Marvin Gaye right now.
Oh, cool. Right on. Got a good playlist going on.
How about you? What do you got? What's on your turntable right now?
I've been staying busy watching a lot of live streams, I have to say. I've been really busy with watching live artists, live musicians. I'm really into music, and a lot of my favorite musicians are online every other day now. So that's really exciting to be able to watch the people that I follow and wouldn't traditionally get to see every day. And now I'm seeing them, more frequently than I would be able to go, to concerts. So that's kind of cool just to see the virtual impact that this has had. But I do want to get into Super Troopers. That's really why we're here. And we've got some really exciting news from Grassroots. So just today, I'm going to put it up here so everybody can see it. We just dropped the new Johnny Chimpo collection, which features the black hat. I know we can see this one right here. Erik's got the new black. That's a snapback, I believe, right?
Snapback, yeah.
Yep. So that's the black snapback. We also have the tan fitted, which just dropped. It's available for pre-sale online.
It's got some bananas.
We got the bananas in there. We've got Johnny Chimpo. We've got the Broken Lizard logo, I believe, is on the brim.
Yep.
And then we also dropped the pin. So there's now a Johnny Chimpo pin that you can buy at grassrootscalifornia.com. Right meow. And just so you guys know, too, everything is 30% off today as the last day of our sale. So a little plug for our 420 sale there. Sorry. It's near you, but that is
me?
Yes, I believe so. That's
okay. My sister's trying to FaceTime at the exact same time I'm doing a live
She's probably like, I see you on TV. Well, let's get into Super Troopers a little bit, because I know that's really exciting for us, and we're really excited for this. So you play Rabbit in the series. Rabbit's the rookie, as we found out in Super Troopers 1. So how are you most like Rabbit?
I'm going to answer this as I'm trying to expand my window. When that call came in, it made it like a little centimeter.
Oh.
Tiny. Trying to get back to where we were. Yeah, how they get back to.
Let's see.
Normal size. I'll answer that as Barbara's the tech wizard here.
Not really, but I'll try.
You got this. Try the little. There should be a little.
How am I most like Rabbit and Super Troopers?
Yeah.
Sure. So I would say of the Broken Lizard guys, growing up in Minnesota, I may possibly be seen as the most earnest.
Oh.
I would say, Rabbit, when we were shooting Super Troopers, was supposed to be sort of the eyes into the world, kind of the young, I don't want to call him naive, but I would say he's sort of like more of the earnest guy because he's new. He's not really aware of all the sort of like pranks that they've played yet. So
Yeah, definitely.
If he should be part of these, if he'll get in trouble, he likes it. He likes the idea, sort of a mischievous streak about him. You can tell that he's the guy that keeps the weed. He's the guy that follows the dead around. What I kind of like about him is that even though he's like the earnest young guy, he kind of does have a mischievous streak about him. So I would say maybe of all the characters that I've played in our 6 movies, that Rabbit's probably maybe the closest to me.
Cool. That's good to know.
Say, in that movie, we did sort of generalities for characters. Let's say, for example, like Mac is the wild man. Foster is a civilian trapped in a cop's body. Thorny wants to be Billy D. Williams. I would say those characters are probably the closest to all 5 of us.
Really?
In any of our movies.
Oh, that's fun. That's good to know.
Some little personalities that we had when we created that movie.
Okay. Did you need to do anything to prepare for the role to be a state trooper?
Yeah, I went through the academy. Yeah, literally.
Some hard P90X, right?
The funny thing is, I don't know if we had the language correct. We were just making up like CB talk.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure was not right.
Like 1094 and stuff like that.
Or white bean or almond. Yeah, I got a cruiser. We were just making stuff up.
Well, it sounded great.
It sounded great. Yeah. Well, that's acting because we didn't do any training.
Nice. Great acting there. Have you ever been pulled over in real life?
Sure.
Anything similar to the film, or?
I've never been messed with. We've had several funny stories. Yeah, I've never been pranked that I remember. Barbara and I were driving through southern Minnesota. It was cold, and we got pulled over for speeding. And I remember the guy came up to the window, and he had that same hat on that Frances McDormand did in Fargo.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember
like
why.
With the earmuffs?
Like the wool hat with the earmuffs.
The ear flap hat. We make them at Grassroots.
Yeah, you do, right? So, I don't know. I'm trying to remember why, but he asked me into the cruiser in front if I would join him in his car. And so I did.
That's strange.
And it's a little weird. I'm trying to remember why. But anyway, I ended up going to his car, and he's like looking up my license plate, and he's about to write me a ticket, and I'm like, I gotta try. And I was like, hey, this car's cool. It's a little different than ours. Yeah. I played a cop in a movie once. Like, oh yeah? Which one? I was like, Super Troopers. He's like, oh cool, I've never seen it.
Oh!
He got me a ticket and handed it to me, and I had to walk back to our car with my tail tucked between my legs.
Oh.
Lemmy's had better luck. Lemmy was going 120 up, I believe it was California Highway 5 from Los Angeles up north. And he got pulled over going 120. And it turned out that cop was a fan. And Lemmy does a whole stand-up routine about it. But he got out of it on 120.
Wow.
Could have, given him jail time.
Yeah. I think it's over 30 is a felony or something, but yeah, that's great that you guys can pull that. I know Amy Olive had asked that question on Facebook, and she wanted to know what was your favorite scene to shoot in the movies?
Favorite shoot to see in the movies? It's always fun being a writer and being friends with these guys. It's often when you're writing the comedy, especially in like Super Troopers, you knew that one day if you were writing something funny for one of your friends that they have to show up and act in it. So, for example, writing the powdered sugar scene for Kevin. Mm-hmm. You're writing and you're kind of giggling because one day he's going to have to show up and shoot it, and you want to be there. So writing the powdered sugar scene, and that day shows up where Kevin has to get naked and get covered in powdered sugar. But the funny thing is, powdered sugar doesn't stick to a naked man.
Oh.
We didn't find out till that day. So then the poor makeup lady had to cover Kevin head to toe in Vaseline. And then the powdered sugar. So if you watch the scene over again, it's kind of clumpy at times, and that's because that was the sticking mechanism.
Nice. I'm glad they figured that out.
The favorite scenes are kind of ones you have to write for the other guys to act out, like when Kevin gets tackled, or when Kevin tackles the Burke guy.
Yes. And he did that, didn't he? He did his own stunt there.
He did it, yeah. And I might have been. I was either under the counter or in the back with a fryer, because you get so excited to be on set when you get.
So you're like, I'm gonna stand over here and watch it.
Yeah, just waiting for the day when you get to shoot it.
That's awesome. Let's see. So in one scene, you're completely covered in shaving cream. They're doing like the little hazing thing in the locker. So
menthol.
It was menthol.
Fortunate choice by the prop master, who had no idea.
So it burned? Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, you cover a naked man in menthol.
That's crazy. So did you do all of your own stunts, or did you have a few stunts that you had stand-ins for?
I always want to do my own stunts. Oftentimes the union doesn't allow you to.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I did that one. I did the maple syrup. We made that independently, so we had a little more freedom. Like one scene, like I wanted to be in the car that crashed the mailbox when we go on the Hell Night, we call it, when O'Hagan goes over to Grady's house and he starts ripping up his front yard. And,
yes, everybody gets drunk off the Black Label.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the car to like crash in the mailbox, but the stunt driver and the union wouldn't let me do it.
Okay.
What was nuts that they did allow me to do was in the opening scene of Super Troopers, when Thorny and I go flying down, the stoner says, I should have pulled out my 9 and put a cap in his ass. And then the car comes flying backwards. Mm-hmm. Driving backwards, like, you go like this and just the littlest touch, your car
super sensitive, yes.
Sensitive. So I'm terrified. Like, the stunt driver, which is obviously an amazing professional, just flies backwards, like he's going forward, slams on the brakes, smoke's going up, he just decides to jam it rear and just flies backwards. And I'm in the passenger seat.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
Instead of having 2 stunt drivers, they let me be in the passenger seat for that. I'm like, oh, this felt more dangerous than smashing a mailbox at 5 miles an hour.
That's super cool. That must have been really fun, actually. So you guys obviously love pranking each other in the films, since a lot of your characters are often playing off of each other. Did you guys have any prank wars in real life off of set or back in college at all?
We're not big pranky guys to each other. We're really close friends, so there's a lot of stuff that we love to do sort of just, I guess, more with each other than to each other.
Sure.
There was one really funny prank over the years that Chandrasekhar pulled off on Lemmy.
Okay.
Tony pulled over on Mac over this was the long con. We were living in New York City, writing Super Troopers, doing that whole thing. And we did a sketch comedy group, so we were in New York City for like 10 years. And there was one day when Steve Lemmy got a headshot from Tony Danza. And so this must have been after Puddle Cruiser, after Super Troopers, because the headshot from Tony Danza said, "Dear Steve, I love your work." I'm paraphrasing here. This might not be exactly, but something about your work. I hope we get a chance to work together one day.
Oh.
Big fan, Tony Danza. Well, Lemmy framed that 8x10 and he put it up on his wall in his apartment. And we'd rotate whose place we'd go to write it, but we'd be at Lemmy's house all the time. And he'd be like, "It's unbelievable. I mean, I got this from Tony Danza. Like, turns out he's like a fan of our work and he wants to work on it one day." And we were like, "Oh my God, it's awesome. That's so cool."
That is.
Awesome. And he left that up there for years. And then finally, after years and years and years, Jay one day was leaving the apartment. He's like, I haven't told you this yet, but I actually sent you that headshot of Tony Danza.
That's a good one.
That was a good one.
Well played.
It was a good long con. That was a good one. He had him for years.
That's hysterical. So, good way to prank your friends, guys. Now, I know you stole a Porsche in Super Troopers 1, the original one. It was one of the cars in lockup. And that was kind of your breakaway moment where you're like, now I'm getting everybody back and I'm going to go do something crazy. If you could steal a car in real life, what car would you steal and go driving on?
I think I'd like to steal a funny car to see if it's truly funny.
A funny car? Like, what kind of funny car? Like a small car or something? Or like...
There's a brand. There's like a a type of race when you race funny cars.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This is a play on words.
Okay, right on. Okay, then we've got the classic moment where you're fucking this bear, right? And you've got the suit on, you're making this big distraction. One of our fans, Robin Friday, wanted to know, did you guys use that bear suit again at all for any other pranks backstage or anything like that? And who came up with that idea?
Hi, Robin. No, I think that beauty went into storage very shortly thereafter of shooting. We shot the movie, and then most of the stuff went into a storage unit, and it sat there for a long time. And then later on, people would ask about it. We didn't really know how to track it down. Then we thought, well, maybe during the Indiegogo campaign for Super Troopers 2, it would be a good auction item to help us try to get money for Super Troopers 2. So we went and found it in some storage unit in New Jersey, and she was a little worse for wear.
Oh.
She didn't look as good as she had, after 20 years ago.
Oh, the bear.
The bear.
The bear. Did you guys name the bear?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just
You
assume.
don't want to get too attached to something like that. So you're not going to be able to spend more time with. You get heartbroken.
Ryan Connolly, actually our grassroots leader.
There was a good, if I could, sorry for interrupting, there was a pretty good story of how that came about. I think the second part of that question was,
oh, yeah.
Who wrote that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was very collective. In our earlier years, when we were doing sketch comedy in New York, if we ever had to go to like a show that was booked outside the city at a college or a wedding or something like that, we all five of us would pile up into Jay's car. It was only one car that we had in New York, and we'd use it whenever we needed to get somewhere. And we were going through a long stretch. I believe it was like we were trying to get to Ohio, and we're going through this long stretch of just woods along a highway. And we started playing this game called the hypothetical game. And that was, what would you do if kind of thing. And it started out with, what would you do if you looked over and you saw a guy fucking a bear in the woods? Would you call the police? And then it became like the hypothetical of like, well, if the police got that call, what would they do if they received that call?
Sure.
They send somebody out. And then if the cop actually showed up and caught somebody, would they think it's illegal? And then would they try to go arrest that person? So it was this whole rabbit hole that we fell down. And then it became a funny scene for us.
It was the rabbit hole.
A rabbit hole.
Look at that.
And so that was sort of the impetus for the idea of the Halloween costume of the bear bugger.
I love it. That's a good story. Ryan Connolly is the owner of Grassroots, as you may know, and he wants to know if you guys used real weed in the film.
Good question, Brian. Good question. We are Broken Lizards, so I think that's pretty obvious. So I'll give you a backstory of that. The long and the short is yes and no.
Yes.
So there's the scene when they're watching, so I'm trying to set it up. We're watching a cartoon with the German guy to try to figure out if there's a hidden message in the cartoon.
Right.
And in that thing, we're supposed to be smoking. And the way that you make yourself look super stoned on camera is you blow Vaseline, like menthol Vaseline, into your eyes.
Oh.
Like you do it reverse. You blow into a hole, you blow it in so that menthol goes in your eyes and it gets red and watery.
Okay.
But there were a bunch of guys, I think, that didn't have many lines in that, and they smoked weed. But we found out years ago when we were a sketch comedy group, we wrote this one sketch called Not Pot.
Okay.
It was like near beer, but it's about pot. So it looked like pot, tastes like pot, smells like pot, but it's not. So when you want to enjoy the taste of a weed, but you have to study for a big test, you smoke not pot.
Okay.
Like one of our first sketches that we did as Broken Lizard. And we decided when we shot the sketch, we had done it on stage, but we thought we'd try to make a video of it. And so we all smoked. We got stoned, and none of us could remember our lines. And we realized it took twice as long to shoot it and finish it in production. And when you have no money and no budget, you want to try to do everything as fast as possible.
Yes.
But we realized smoking weed and trying to remember lines and be productive and be efficient wasn't very good for us personally. I know that
Sure.
a lot of people can do it effectively, no big deal, like a lot of our friends, but we weren't great at it. And so we whenever we knew that we had to do something quick and effectively, we realized it's probably best not to smoke on screen. But we smoked a lot in order to write the jokes.
Okay. That makes sense. Get the creative juices flowing.
Absolutely.
So in Super Troopers 2, kind of moving on to the next film, you start off in this dream sequence, right? And you're part of the band, the Crackling Bacon.
Woo!
So do you play any instruments in real life? Was that inspired by any band in particular?
Well, yeah, I play a lot. I've always played instruments growing up. I played guitar for a long time, still play guitar. So that's why I played the lead guitar on that. So
there you go.
Kind of looked like I could play.
Yeah.
Paul Soder and I are guitar players.
Okay.
Jay has a guitar and he plays around a little bit, but he doesn't know it as well. But the three of us know how to play.
Right on.
Kevin and Steve, I do not think play instruments. But Steve took learning how to play the drums to make that look real very seriously. So we hired some tutors, and he had like a drum tutor and like taught him how to make a roll look real.
Wow.
So that was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts for sure.
So Paul's actually a singer. He was like in a singing group.
Oh.
He's legit, and then I legitimately can play the guitar. So yeah, we love music. One of the things we love to do is watch music documentaries. I would say being in a sketch comedy group is probably as close you can get to being in a band.
Yeah.
It's like our version of being in a band. We always loved Led Zeppelin and AC/DC, and that was sort of our influence, like heavy, classic rock.
Cool.
So I think Stones, we all love the Rolling Stones, Steve Lemmy particularly. I think that was our second dream. We kind of wrote that opening scene because we always wanted to be in a rock and roll band.
Yeah, that's fun.
So,
it's also a good point to remember here that you just bring up is that you get to write the scenes. So you get to write in the scenes that you want to see yourself portrayed as or portray. And so that is something fun to do. Okay.
Figure out how to open the beginning of Super Troopers 2 because it was 17 years later. And how do you just create characters 17 years after the last one?
Sure.
Leave people with a bit of a mystery and kind of guessing, and it was hard. It was hard to write that opening.
Definitely. Well, I do want to switch gears here and now talk a little bit about Beerfest, another one of your highly successful films. I remember when it came out, and it was really fun and funny, and it's just a really good film. So Todd is the character you play there, and he's one of the brothers that's, on the quest to beat the Germans in this beer drinking festival. So how are you most like Todd, the character in that film?
I would say I'm least like Todd of all my characters. Obviously I love the movie and I love playing it, but we have to rotate straight men and kind of off the wall guys, and so we do 180s every movie. Like Kevin Heffernan will play Farva in the next movie, he's the romantic lead as Lars. I went from like the earnest guy in Super Troopers to the killer in Club Dread. So I'm hoping nobody has not seen it is going to go watch it. I apologize. So we tried to do 180s, and in Beerfest I ended up being like the straight guy. And I was like playing the kind of wackier characters a little bit more. So I was trying, I'm like, I got to play a straight guy. And like, I sort of, I don't know if I have a ton of similarities to Todd. I love all the characters I played, but that one was maybe the least like fun.
Okay.
Like fun character to play, even though, yeah.
Okay. How much beer did you actually drink on set? And did you actually get drunk for any of those scenes?
So I think by, union rules, the prop master's not allowed to have real beer on set.
Okay.
And we also would have been dead by 7 o'clock.
A lot of drinking in that one, yeah.
There's a lot of drinking, a lot of large volume amount of drinking. So, shooting 17-hour days, 6 days a week, you got to be on it. So we had a lot of non-alcoholic beer.
Okay.
For the darker stuff, it was often non-alcoholic and coffee. However, we love beer. Or we have we wanted that movie to be a love letter to beer from us, because we do love it that much. So we would, I guess I can say this now, it's totally cool, but looking back, we would have a signal that you'd give to the prop master to swap out what was going to be non-alcoholic to alcoholic. So like later in the afternoon or something, when you knew you could see the light at the end of the tunnel coming, you'd swap out the non-alcoholic for the real stuff.
Ah.
So you could make it through the day.
Oh, that's fun. So you did get to do some drinking on set.
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. But are any of the scenes you're actually drunk, or you had to kind of keep yourself paced well?
Most people had to maintain themselves. I fortunately had a character arc that I had to get drunk and recall in order to remember where the competition was.
Yes, at the end of the film. Yep.
Yep. So then I had to drink the Goldschlager. I've been drinking for a year. I've been training a year for an international beer drinking competition, so I couldn't get drunk on beer. And then eventually, to get drunk, I had to drink a bottle of Goldschlager. And I wanted it to, I'm a method actor, right? So I want Chuck maple syrup. So I thought, if I want this to be real, I really should drink and get drunk to make it look real. So I only did it for the craft.
Well, we love it. It turned out great. That's one of the best parts. And you got the gold on your lips and everything. Love it.
Yeah,
so in one of the scenes, part of how you guys were supposed to get good was to drink the ram's piss, right?
Yeah.
So obviously that's a stunt as well. What did you guys use for that?
Did you say stunt?
It's like the syrup. You guys chugged it?
Well, you did hear me tell the maple syrup story and then the drinking beer story. So,
and there were rams on set.
If you want authenticity, there were rams on set. We did have an animal wrangler. And it wasn't the easiest to get as much volume as you need.
Yes.
We made it happen. We were gentle. It was all very animal friendly. But we collected it and we drank.
Okay, right on.
I think you can tell.
You're right. I guess it does look real. It does. What is your favorite beer? I know you're sipping on something over there. What's your favorite?
Yeah. I've always been traditionally a hams guy.
Really? Yeah, I used to drink that in college.
Yeah, it's sort of Minnesota beer, whereas like old style would be, your Chicago beer.
Yes.
I like old style as well.
Okay.
But I'm more traditional, kind of like just a hams or a Special X,
Okay.
I enjoy.
Very cool.
Some people make, in the new craft beer world, they might get made fun of.
No, not at all.
And then if I went in the craft beer world here in Minnesota, we have some really great craft beers, like a lot. Really
okay.
Great, as I'm sure a lot of the cities,
Yeah, especially in the North Midwest, yeah.
Great renaissance happening. Particularly, I'm a fan of Surly and Bent Paddle.
Okay.
And Fulton is great. I mean, there's so many. It's hard to make a list. Summit's, Surly. Dangerous Man. There's so many great tap rooms and breweries and stuff these days that I'll take it all.
There you go. We'll drink it all. We'll get wild, just like your night of partying. You were in a wedding dress in this last scene that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And then you guys are on a bicycle built for 5.
Yes.
Where does one find a bicycle built for 5?
That's the thing. You write these jokes, and all of a sudden somebody has to make it.
Okay, so somebody made that for you guys.
It's a great thing about Hollywood magic, and you find these incredibly talented people. So by the time we made Beerfest, we were working with Warner Brothers, and they have the best of the best working. So we had this incredible prop master. We write Bicycle Made for 5, which I don't know if it existed in the world, but all of a sudden the guy makes it, and you show up on set that day, and he hands you a bicycle made for 5. And it was so ridiculously hard to ride. Like, we all thought we were going to kill ourselves. We all thought that we were going to get injured and we weren't going to be able to continue to make. It was unbelievably difficult to balance.
And you didn't have handlebars, right? That last seat didn't have handlebars?
Yeah, no, I was trusting in the hands of my friends. I was just trusting that they wouldn't crash.
And you're in a dress, mind you, of everything you could have been in. Did you feel like a beautiful bride?
That's an understatement. I felt really pretty.
Okay. That's
you had to get momentum going. Somebody kind of had to get the bike going and push you, and then they kind of push it off, and they would do it before you got into frame, so you had a little momentum, and then you try to more than pedal. You try to not fall over.
Love it.
Terrifying. It was terrifying.
So this is probably the most. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say there's a scene after Landfill dies that I get upset, and I go pick up the bicycle made for 5. And I try to ride off in it.
Okay.
And you can kind of see the struggle that I have as my character trying to get on it to ride off. And that was very real.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is probably the most asked question that we got on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. So at the end of your Beerfest movie, there's a scene with Billy Nelson, and you guys kind of tease Potfest, the movie. So are there any plans for Potfest to come out in the future?
I will say that at first we wrote that as a joke, not really thinking that people would take it as seriously as they did.
What?
I know. I think there's people that saw it and thought that the movie was like almost shot already. Like they thought we had a sequel, and we kind of Willie Nelson is one of our heroes, and when we had the opportunity to work with them, we had to try to find a way to get Willie Nelson into a beer movie because he doesn't drink beer. But so we created this concept that at the end we stumble across this smoking competition, and Willie's there. So Willie's bus is driving through Albuquerque. He stops in, shoots the scene, gets back on his bus, and takes off. And we created that last joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we started getting incoming phone calls from 50 Cent, Cheech and Chong, Method Man came to our office.
Oh my
all
God.
these people like, I want in, man, I want in. And then we felt this pressure, like, wow, we should go make this. We should actually go make this movie. And there's a lot of interest in this sort of multicultural weed movie.
Definitely.
But the problem was Warner Brothers, owned the intellectual property of the movie, and at the time, we shot that movie in, I think, 2005. Weed was not necessarily nearly as accepted as now.
Sure.
And they were like, we're the studio Yogi Bear, so times are changing. So they're, I think, creating more opportunity as we're seeing more states start to legalize it. We were starting to get some momentum on it, and all of a sudden, this thing's happening right now with the global pandemic where it's challenging to get a production crew together to shoot a movie. So
sure.
I would just say that we're interested, we have an idea, and we want to try to make it work.
Cool. Well, we look forward to seeing that. I know a lot of us are waiting for that. A lot of people commenting right now that they have been waiting for it. Please make it. We want to see it happen. So,
too. We'd love to make it.
If you need any extras, everybody here at Grassroots, we're all ready. We'd fit right in.
People want to audition. A lot of people want to audition.
Cool. Well, are there any plans for Super Troopers 3?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
a good
Super
answer.
2 was, Super Troopers 2 was very successful. Fox was very happy with it. It tested really well. So we are currently writing Super Troopers 3.
Yes! Yay! Everybody out there, it's coming. That's exciting.
It's being written.
Good. I've got a question here that was from Troy. This question is from McKay, 23. Which movie did you enjoy being in more, Super Troopers or Beerfest? I think you hit on this before, but...
Yeah, I think every movie is a fun movie to work on. And again, like when you get to work with certain actors. On Beerfest, it was really fun to work with MC Gainey and Cloris Leachman, and Willie Nelson. Get to meet Willie Nelson. So those sort of highlights. But I think my character, as much as I love Todd and I love Beerfest, I played the straight guy in Beerfest. You can't have 5 completely out there characters, and so oftentimes every movie has a straight guy, and it's not quite as much fun as a comedian to play. So I think shooting Super Troopers 2 and playing Rabbit, I think I enjoyed making that a little bit more, even though making Beerfest was fun.
For sure. I've got a question here from Ben Duff, who's asking, when does the Alt Country EP drop? Can you tell us a little bit about that? What does that mean?
EP, Alt Country EP.
Yes.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay. I'll disregard that then. So I do want to go ahead and pick a giveaway winner at this time, if you guys are ready. So as you guys know, this is our super giveaway. We're going to pick somebody live right now who's watching and submitted a question to win a signed hat from Erik. So Erik's going to sign a hat and send it to you. It could take a little bit because shipping's a little off these days, but we will get you a hat, and then we're also going to give you a $50 gift card to Grassroots. So you're going to have 2 minutes to respond. Anybody out there, if we call your name or your handle, please respond immediately. You've got 2 minutes. So let's get a drum roll. I don't know if you want to drop a emoji in the comments. We're going to go ahead and pick our winner for this hat right here. And a $50 gift card.
Yeah. Good hats.
I'm going to pick a number.
Some cool merch, BrokenLizard.com. GrassrootsCalifornia.com.
Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3. Troy Donald Henkel, who asked a question on Facebook. If you are live, with us now, please. Oh, he's here on Facebook. Troy, if you can send Grassroots California a message, we will get your shipping address from you and connect you with the merch. I do want to use this time really quickly just to remind everybody that we have all this new merch that just came out. Again, all of our 420 gear, our 420 sale, everything is 30% off right now online. You can see Erik's got a bunch of that new merch right there. And then all the new Super Troopers gear just dropped today, and all of that is also 30% off online just today. Look, he's got the Jimbo Phillips. That's
I like this one.
Favorite. That's Jimbo Phillips. Do you know Santa Cruz skateboards?
Yeah, bear eating a beehive.
Yeah, so he does a lot of that really cool graphic art. He's a really fun artist that we work with. I do want to let anybody else ask a question if you're in our comments on Twitch, if you're in our comments on Facebook, if you want to throw Erik a question right now, or if you're on our Zoom call, now is a time for you to unmute and go ahead and ask a question. Anyone out there? The bear is awesome. Has the thought ever this is from Alphabet 85. Has the thought ever happened where the Super Troopers cop pulls over someone from Beerfest?
Like what do you call that?
Like a cameo kind of thing?
Kevin Smith universe, when he takes characters from other movies and puts them in a movie.
You did that in Beerfest. Weren't a lot of those actors and extras the same people?
We did use some. We do there's certain sort of comedic actors that we're fond of.
Okay.
And so we do use the same actors, but I'm trying to think if we've ever used the same character in different movies.
What about Dukes of Hazzard?
That's it, yeah.
Oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. That's a good one. I should have brought that up.
The Hazzard was probably the first time that we ever sort of brought Thorny, even though we didn't call him Thorny and Rabbit, we played security officers.
Okay.
So sort of a version of the same characters in the sense that Jay and I were partners.
Right on. The crossover. I see people saying crossover. I got a question here from Concert Vibes. What is your favorite munchie food?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, it's a good one. Do you go savory or do you go sweet? Right, like my wife, Barbara, she loves savory, and I tend to go sweet.
Ooh.
I would go like a pie. I like a nice pie, like a blueberry pie, peanut butter pie, French silk pie.
Mm.
Watching a movie, I like a nice caramel corn, maybe with a drizzle of chocolate in it.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Right?
That does sound really good.
But then it's great also when you have like some salt and vinegar potato chips.
Oh, going for like
so
the
you can go
sour.
See? I would say as a Broken Lizard gang, we were a big Doritos fan. It was often like Cool Ranch Doritos was a big one for us.
That's like the best stoner food, in my opinion. Like, just get me some Doritos and we're golden. I have a comment here from Alphabet as well. I'm just going to read it. It says, you and the Broken Lizard crew are awesome. He saw you guys in Chicago at the Super Troopers 2 premiere. Shout out Chicago people. He was in the Army, deployed twice, and they religiously watched Super Troopers. So big fan and a lot of laughs over here. Let's see. What was your favorite strain of weed? Since you were the one who smokes the weed on set. Do you have a favorite strain at all?
Strain? I don't know, all of it?
Just weed, right?
I mean, I tend to maybe indica, maybe just end of the night type thing.
Okay. Good
I mean, maybe, sativa for the laughter when we're writing. I'm trying to go with the sativa, and then obviously if you're just hanging out watching the movie.
That's a good one. I see Johnny Chimpo's actually in our comments here, and I got a few other people commenting nice mustache, but shout out Johnny Chimpo, who's actually in our comments right now.
Johnny Chimpo?
Yeah, he's right here.
What are you talking about?
He says nice mustache.
Ooh, Johnny.
I see what's up from Colorado. A lot of people saying hello, what's up? They love Rabbit. Somebody says, oh, look, a bar of soap. Someone here from New York.
We get a lot of quotes.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you. We do appreciate you. Do you have any other news or exciting news for us over here?
No, I'll just say, keep hanging out on social media. Erik Stolhanske. I do Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So any updates that we're talking about on new stuff, we were writing the other day. Come follow me on social media. Love to stay in touch.
Okay, thank you. So again, guys, one last time for everybody out there, Grassroots does have our 420 sale going on right now. Everything is 30% off. We did just drop all this awesome new Johnny Chimpo merch. We've got the black hat, the tan hemp fitted, and the pins. So again, you can go to grassroots.com and grab those. And thank you again, Erik, for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Daniel, Joseph, Elizabeth, Sam, Drew, Nikki, everybody for having me. It was fun. Check out this thing. This is Grassroots. I got this in a package from Grassroots. This is cool.
Fall, winter 2018. What up?
Excited.
We love that collection. That's good stuff.
We're good to have you on BrokenLizard.com on our merch stuff.
Well, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. See ya.
Take care.